Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
Stay home, stay safe. It's a drastic measure, but in just a few hours, it will be our reality.
Good to have you with us here for Local 4 News at 6. Another reminder, we are right now awaiting the daily briefing by the Coronavirus Task Force and President Trump in Washington. We were told it was going to start about 5:30, so obviously they're behind that. As soon as it starts, we will take you to D.C. But here's where things stand in Michigan.
Michigan now has 1,328 cases of COVID-19. 15 of those have been fatal. The stay home, stay safe order issued by Governor Whitmer this morning goes into effect at midnight tonight and is scheduled to last 3 weeks. During that period, Michiganders may only leave their homes under limited circumstances, including for work.
Exceptions are made for workers who are necessary to sustain or protect life. That's the phrase that they're using. And those include healthcare workers, law enforcement, grocery stores. In fact, we haven't talked enough about the folks who are working in grocery stores and coming in contact with this perhaps a lot, but hats off to them. But a lot of people are wondering about those critical infrastructure fields and exactly what that means.
We've posted a list at clickondetroit.com along with the full text of the governor's executive order. For anyone who's not clear whether their job falls into one of those categories, the best course of action is to ask your employer.
Similarly, it's going on in Ontario. All non-essential work is closing there as well, and that starts tomorrow. The good news is Michigan's hospitals not yet in as bad a shape as we've seen some across the country.
But vital equipment will be in short supply with the expected numbers to rise. Local 4 business editor Rod Maloney is live with the latest on that and some good news about moves to replenish those supplies. Rod.
Yes, Kimberly, you know, the arsenal of democracy was going full tilt in World War II, and now it is ramping up here. We've got FCA and General Motors tonight talking about their situation. Let's take a look. Mayor Mike Duggan frustrated his administration spending a lot of time trying to find essentials.
We need 1 test kits, 2 N95 masks, and 3, in the near future, ventilators.
Both Duggan and the governor went out of their way to point out the federal government itself is not forthcoming with much help at all. It's counting on the private sector. Fiat Chrysler CEO Mike Manley put out a statement tonight saying that it's going to be converting plants in China to manufacture surgical masks, $1 million a week to go to hospitals and first responders all across the U.S. General Motors this afternoon gave more clarity on its efforts to build more ventilators in the U.S. with a company called Ventec Life Systems. Quote, with GM support, Ventec is now planning exponentially higher ventilator production as fast as possible. As part of those efforts, GM is exploring the feasibility to build ventilators for Ventec at a GM facility in Kokomo, Indiana, end quote. Another thing that's needed tonight is a little more clarity. The governor's stay home, stay safe executive order is a little sketchy on detail, and the Chamber of Commerce's CEO, Rich Studley, says that he's working for all businesses to get some good answers.
It would have been helpful if we had had a little more time between the announcement of the order and when it takes effect. And I think, unfortunately, the situation we're in is where employees and employers are scrambling to understand the order.
And like we said, we have much of the information on the order on clickondetroit.com. FCA is going to be working on ventilators too. They just put out a press release on that. In the meantime, the mayor is saying that the city is doing everything it can and doing the right thing here, but this is getting costly because it's about $11 million they've spent in the last month trying to get everything clean. Cop cars, fire trucks, firehouses and the like. And then there's the big one, $600,000 a day lost because the casinos are closed. This is going to be a tough recovery. Back to you.
Tough indeed. Rod, I wanted to ask you, one of the concerns in the city has been people whose water has been turned off. Is there any movement in that area?
Yeah, in fact, there's considerable relief. If your water was turned off for the lack of a bill, or worse yet, because your house infrastructure isn't working, that is all being taken care of. Great Lakes Water Authority has ponied up money, and now there is a group of volunteer plumbers who are coming in, union plumbers who are coming in who want to get the water going in everybody's home that has been turned off. There are about 150 homes, and they're volunteering to do that, and they've started doing it today.
Wow, that's good news. Okay, Rod, thanks.
Let's again take a live look inside the White House press briefing room. We are awaiting today's briefing. A quick note here, last week they moved to reporters sitting every other seat. Today, it's 2 reporters per row because a member of the White House press corps has tested positive for coronavirus. I don't believe, at last check anyway, they had not identified who it was, but taking steps again to create even more social distancing inside the room. CNN is noting right now that today is the first day of this crisis that we've had more than 100 people dying of the virus in a single day in the U.S. So just as soon as that briefing gets underway, we will take you back to the White House. In the meantime, we've shown you the collection sites where people have been donating medical supplies to local hospitals.
Some talented people have also started making homemade masks to fill the gaps. But our Dr. Frank McGeorge says there are a couple of issues you need to know about those efforts.
With people staying home and genuinely interested in being helpful, groups of people are busily sewing homemade masks for healthcare workers. Now, I've received several emails asking how people can get them to providers. So here's the thing. Please check with your local hospital before organizing a large effort. Right now, most hospital systems like Henry Ford, University of Michigan, and Beaumont are not accepting homemade masks. And the ones that are, they plan to use them for workers in non-clinical settings where they aren't providing direct patient care. So to be clear, all of these efforts are appreciated, and I will keep you posted if and when hospitals update their policy. But for now, hospitals really need N95 masks, surgical masks, gloves, and gowns. Back to you.
All right, Doc, with the stay-at-home order, some important notes. You are still allowed to go to the grocery store.
But to avoid the spread of the virus, people are turning to home delivery for their groceries. And as Jamie Edmonds found out, the system is overwhelmed.
Just because you order it on your phone does not mean it will be delivered to your door. That's because people doing the shopping for you are finding empty shelves.
Oh, horrible. You can't find anything. Everything First Choice is everything's gone. No tissue paper, no toilet paper, no flour, no bleaches, no anything. Everything's gone. That's Sakira Johnson, a Wayne State University student who picked up this side job to make extra money. How it works? With Instacart, you sign up online, pick your store, make your selections, then Sakira goes out and buys your groceries for delivery. She says business is way up. So many people are becoming new customers to Instacart, so there's like tons of people just trying to stay out the way, especially older people. So
are you delivering to a lot of older people? Because there are
a lot of older people.
The idea is great, especially if you're trying to limit your exposure to the coronavirus and staying in. But the problem is everyone has the same idea. One Local 4 employee tried to order delivery from Amazon, Whole Foods, Instacart, and Shipt, but for each there were no available delivery times. It goes to show how uneasy and nervous we all are.
It was actually funny. Yesterday we had a huge order that she wanted us to leave it like all on the front porch, and she was going to leave a tip, and she did not want to touch us. And it was so funny. So she was really nervous of just even coming near to us because I think she was about 75, and she was just really nervous.
Some local grocery stores are offering delivery directly, like Nino Savaggio's. I talked to the owner. He says they're doing it. They're just very busy, so bear with them. Another option is Good Samaritans are offering to do your shopping for you, put your delivery on your porch. Just check your community pages on Facebook and Instagram. Jamie Edmonds, Local 4.
Yeah, and how busy has it been? We reached out to Instacart, Shipt, and Amazon for comment. Didn't hear back from any of them at the moment, but it just shows you how busy those businesses are right now.
Indeed. The stay-at-home order poses a dilemma for daycare providers who may already have been wrestling with whether to stay open or not.
Yeah, on the one hand, the virus could spread. On the other hand, critical workers need someone to care for their kids. Paula Tutman has a look at the daycare dilemma.
For daycare centers, this really is a catch-22 because the governor's asked them to stay open to help facilitate critical care workers. But with her executive stay home, stay safe order today, more parents will be staying home, which means fewer actually need childcare.
We have had quite a few families call me today as we are working on scheduling for the rest of the week. That today will be their last day until further notice. So it's been a pretty devastating day.
School Bell Corporation owns 3 daycares and early learning centers throughout the metro area.
This week we're talking about insects and rodeos, not viruses and toilet paper.
Their plan is to stay open.
We currently are staying open for our essential families who are out in the field, first responders, our medical teams, our grocery store helpers, bankers. There's so many essential workers that are out there helping our communities, saving lives. Our goal right now is to keep our children, our school, our staff safe.
While social distancing, which is essentially a no human physical contact mandate, is barely working on many adults, try enforcing that with children.
We've amped up cleaning. We have a 3-step cleaning process. We're covering all surfaces, toys, everything like that. But when the children are here, we are allowing them to be children. We are allowing them to play and just have fun.
The question is, how sustainable is this? And really only time will tell. Paula Tutman, Local 4.
Okay, Paula, there's a lot of disappointed people right now whose trips and vacations have been canceled because of the crisis.
Really tough. Hank Winchester's been in touch with a group whose 8th grade trip is not happening. And Hank, they've naturally gone looking for a refund, as many have.
Yeah, Devin, as you can imagine, these kids are really disappointed. In fact, they were heading to Washington from Oakland County this week. Plans, now those have been completely scrapped, and the parents are frustrated. They know that many airlines and hotels have been working with customers, but this travel group apparently not pointing them in the direction that they were hoping for. It was supposed to be a fun and educational trip to our nation's capital for dozens of local kids, but it's now canceled, and their parents are out big money, $850 each.
Some families just paid did a monthly payment, a monthly withdrawal. Other families did a lot of fundraising.
Amy Allen's daughter is an 8th grader at Millennium Middle School in South Lyon. She was one of the children scheduled to leave this week.
My she was excited. She was rooming with, 3 of her best friends, and, they were on a team with another 4 besties that, they were excited.
The trip obviously canceled because of the coronavirus, but the company World Stride's not offering full refunds. Instead, parents say they can either apply the money spent to a future trip or sell their package to next year's 8th graders.
Those people are going to be extra worried because can they even buy insurance if they just buy our voucher? Right. Are they going to feel comfortable brokering this side deal?
I reached out to the company and was told, in these unprecedented times for the travel industry, we're working with groups to offer options that work for as many families as possible. We know how hard families have worked to invest in their child's experience, and we continue to make changes as the situation evolves.
All right, Hank, thanks. So President Trump and the coronavirus task force are starting their daily briefing.
And unless it's a much shorter briefing than we've gotten used to, this is going to take us right into NBC Nightly News and cover part of that as well. Let's take you live now to the White House.
Right to the White House. Here is the president.
Getting to be more and more social distancing, and that's fine. That's the way it should be, and it's too bad. We extend our best wishes to the person affected, and we feel sure that he or she will be better very soon. And thank you for being here. America continues to mobilize every segment of our society to turn the tide in the battle against the virus. I want Americans to know that we will get through this challenge. The hardship will end. It will end soon. Normal life will return, and our economy will rebound very, very strongly. But right now, in the midst of this great national trial, Americans must remain united in purpose and focused on victory. To every single American, please know that the sacrifice you're making at this time is saving lives, many, many lives. It's very important that we totally protect our Asian American community in the United States and all around the world. They're amazing people, and the spreading of the virus is not their fault in any way, shape, or form. They're working closely with us to get rid of it. We will prevail together. It's very important. From the beginning, we have been working closely with our nation's best scientists and medical professionals, and we will continue to do so until we have defeated the virus. Our public health experts, who are terrific, are studying the variation in the disease across the country, and we will be using data to recommend new protocols to allow local economies to cautiously resume their activity at the appropriate time. We also have a large team working on what the next steps will be once the medical community gives a region the okay, meaning the okay to get going, to get back, let's go to work. Our country wasn't built to be shut down. This is not a country that was built for this. It was not built to be shut down. My administration continues to work with Democrats and Republicans to reach an agreement on an urgent relief bill for the millions of American workers and small businesses and large businesses that were badly affected by the medical difficulty that we've had. If you had a viable business in January, we are committed to ensuring the same is true in the coming weeks. In fact, we want to make it even better than it was before, and we're doing things to help in that regard. America will again and soon be open for business, very soon, a lot sooner than 3 or 4 months that somebody was suggesting. A lot sooner. We cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. We're not going to let the cure be worse than the problem. At the end of the 15-day period, we'll make a decision as to which way we want to go, where we want to go, the timing, and essentially we're referring to the timing of the opening, essentially the opening of our country, because we have it pretty well shut down in order to get rid of this invisible enemy. 2 weeks ago, we moved at record speed to pass paid sick leave and paid family medical leave and approved $8 billion, including money for the development of treatments and vaccines, and we're doing tremendous work on both fronts. The vaccines are coming along very quickly. Now Congress must demonstrate the same bipartisanship again and join together to pass the Senate bill as written and avoid playing any more partisan games. They have to get together and just stop with the partisan politics. And I think that's happening. I got a call a little while ago. I guess they're getting closer. It should go quickly. And it must go quickly. It's not really a choice. They don't have a choice. They have to make a deal. This should not be a time for political agendas, but rather one for focusing solely and squarely on the needs of the American people. We are going to save American workers, and we're going to save them quickly. And we're going to save our great American companies, both small and large. This was a medical problem. We are not going to let it turn into a long-lasting financial problem. It started out as a purely medical problem, and it's not going to go beyond that. We're just not going to allow that to happen. Our country was at its strongest financial point. We've never had an economy like we had just a few weeks ago, and then it got hit with something that nobody could have ever thought possible. And we are fixing it. We're fixing it quickly. And I want to just thank the American people for what they've been through and what they're doing. Our country will be stronger than ever before, and we fully anticipate that, and it won't be that long. Let me provide you with an update on critical supplies. FEMA is distributing 8 million N95 respirator masks and 13.3 million surgical masks across the country right now. Focusing on the areas with the greatest need, we've shipped 73 pallets of personal protective equipment to New York City and 36 pallets to the state of Washington. In the past 96 hours, FEMA has also received donations of approximately 6.5 million masks. We're having millions and millions of masks made as we speak, and other personal protective equipment, which we will be distributing to medical hotspots. We're focused on some of the hotspots. Across the nation, we're seeing an outpouring of creativity and innovative ideas widely shared between the federal health leaders, governors, and mayors, the scientific community, and members of the private sector. Really working together. Everybody's working together. I'm pleased to report that clinical trials in New York will begin existing for existing drugs that may prove effective against the virus. At my direction, the federal government is working to help obtain large quantities of chloroquine. And you can look from any standpoint tomorrow in New York. We think tomorrow pretty early, the hydroxychloroquine and the Z-Pak, I think, is a combination, probably is looking very, very good, and it's going to be distributed. We have 10,000 units going and it'll be distributed tomorrow. It'll be available, and is now. They already have it. They're going to distribute it tomorrow morning to a lot of people in New York City and New York. We're studying it very closely, watching it very closely. You probably saw a couple of articles today came out where a gentleman, they thought he was not going to make it. He said goodbye to his family. They had given him the drug just a little while before, but he thought it was over. His family thought he was going to die. And a number of hours later, he woke up, felt good. Then he woke up again, and he felt really good, and he's in good shape. And he's very happy for this particular drug that we got approved in record-setting time. There's never been anything to it. And I want to thank the FDA, which has been incredible, and Dr. Hahn, Stephen Hahn, highly respected man, but they're doing everything possible to increase production and available supply of these drugs, not only this drug, but also others that are coming. Remdesivir is coming from Regeneron. A couple of others are also under study. But the one that I'm very excited about right now is the one we just mentioned. And I think there's a real chance. I mean, again, we don't know, but there's a real chance that it could have a tremendous impact. It would be a gift from God if that worked. It would be a big game changer. So we'll see. But distribution starts tomorrow morning early in New York, and I think a lot of people are going to be, hopefully they're going to be very happy with the result, but we're all going to be watching closely. It's something we have to try. It's been very, very successful in malaria, very, very successful. And countries with malaria have had a interesting thing happen. They take this particular drug. It's a very powerful drug. And there is very little semblance of the virus in those countries. And there are those that say because this drug is very prevalent because of the malaria. So we'll see what happens. I'm also announcing that we're postponing the deadline for compliance with real ID requirements at a time when we're asking Americans to maintain social distancing. We do want to require people to go with their local DMV. We will be announcing the new deadline very soon. It's going to be announced in a very short moment. Overnight, we successfully brought home 103 American citizens after they had been stranded for 10 days in Brazil. Following a cruise, we want to thank the Brazilian government and their great president. Most of those returned were senior citizens. My administration, in cooperation with Governor Greg Abbott of Texas and the private sector, coordinated their safe return to the United States. So thank you to Governor Abbott. Terrific governor, terrific man. Earlier today, I signed an executive order invoking presidential authority under Section 4512 of the Defense Production Act to prohibit the hoarding of vital medical equipment and supplies, such as hand sanitizers, face masks, and personal protective equipment. We have a lot of face masks, a lot of equipment just coming in, and we have some people hoarding. And Attorney General Barr is going to be speaking about that in a second. We want to prevent price gouging, and critical health and medical resources are going to be protected in every form. Under this directive, the Secretary of Health and Human Services is authorized to designate essential health and medical supplies as scarce. So he'll designate certain supplies and medical elements as scarce, and that means it will be a crime to stockpile these items in excessive quantities, which is happening to a relatively small degree, we think, but nevertheless it's happening. We can't let it happen. And we can't let them resell them at excessive prices, which some people are doing. Very simply, we will not allow anyone to exploit the suffering of American citizens for their own profit. So we're going to be watching that with our great Attorney General very closely. The Department of Justice will be aggressively prosecuting fraudulent schemes related to the pandemic. Yesterday, federal prosecutors took action in their first case, shutting down a website selling a totally fake vaccine, if you can believe that one. As president, I will always fight to protect Americans from being exploited. Thankfully, all throughout the country, we're witnessing extraordinary acts of compassion, benevolence, and unity. Construction companies are donating masks by the hundreds of thousands. Manufacturing workers are transforming their assembly lines. Citizens are volunteering to deliver food and medicine to the elderly. We're truly seeing America at its best. We're really seeing things that people never thought even could happen. Frankly, we never thought this could happen. But the way most Americans are working toward getting it solved and just doing what they have to do to make this go away has been incredible. It's been incredible. I want to take a moment to thank the everyday heroes who are making our vast effort against the virus possible. And thank you to the healthcare workers and the first responders. These are very brave people. Thanks also to the hardworking men and women of Federal Express, UPS, United States Postal Service, and the truckers who are maintaining our supply chains and supply lines. We thank you very much. Great job. We also want to give our regards and thanks to everyone at our grocery stores working the night shift so that shelves can be restocked, and the restaurant workers and delivery drivers keeping our families fed. So many of these restaurants, it's incredible. They're doing service where people come and they pick it up, delivery. I mean, it's been incredible what they've been doing. Totally different business than they were in, other than they cook food. Other than that, it's like a totally different business. Most of all, I want to thank the American people for rising to the challenge and showing incredible courage, determination, patience, grace, and grit. From New York to Seattle and everywhere in between, your acts of selflessness and sacrifice and ingenuity are a powerful testament to the American character. It's really being shown. It's really showing up at a level that people are really respecting. All over the world, they're respecting. And the world has problems. We're at 148 countries now. 148 countries are affected by the invisible scourge. And all of the uplifting reflections of the American spirit are out there for everyone to see. Together, we will care for our fellow citizens, and we will win this war, and we'll win it much sooner than people think. And we'll be back in business as a country pretty soon. You'll be hearing about that also pretty soon. Now I'd like to ask Attorney General Bill Barr to say a few words, and we'll take questions in a little while. Thank you.
Let me start by thanking you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, for your decisive leadership in this unprecedented battle to save American lives. At the Department of Justice, we're working hard to protect the health and safety of our personnel while at the same time keeping our enforcement efforts at full throttle. So I'd like to thank all of my colleagues in law enforcement, not just those at the federal level, but of all our state and local partners, the police officers, the sheriff's deputies who are protecting and serving their communities, often at great risk to themselves. What I'd like to do here is start with a few remarks about the order that the President mentioned to ensure the availability of critical medical and health supplies from hoarding and price gouging. On March 18th, the President issued Executive Order 13909 invoking the Defense
All right, we are continuing to monitor this briefing at the White House. Attorney General William Barr, the President offering an upbeat assessment, not